So like I said, as far as I'm concerned, nothing nefarious is going on, and definitely not from anyone in our house. This is more a proactive, looking forward, preventative deliberation more than a curative one. I'm sure many of you have watched the news. You are aware of some of the things that have happened in the body of Christ in recent years. Some of these things I have been aware of some of them prior before. I think there was a time in church when I used to talk about the cadence of dealing with this kind of stuff and the pitfalls to look out for and prevent. But we haven't had that kind of conversation in years, and certainly not since this recent reset, restart, reboot. And it's a question of where do we as a ministry stand, as a house stand on business/investment activities and opportunities that are brought into our house. Now, we don't control our people. They're not our people. They're God's people. I don't own them. You don't own them. Everybody is a free moral agent as long as they're an adult. If they ask for counsel, they get it. You don't need permission to tie your shoes or to take a job or whatever it is. However, if something becomes prevalent across the house, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and more people are getting on board the same thing, especially if the getting aboard is being driven through the house. So in essence, one person in the house gets on board something, they invite someone else, who invites someone else, who invites someone else. That's a second category of situation. The third category is when what happened last week happens, where I had about 4 people reach out to me about my opinion on a business opportunity. The first 2 people I kind of fobbed off. I'm just being honest. I was tired. I was sleepy. I didn't really, if you guys know me by now, I don't like to get too involved in people's lives, especially in recent years, unless I'm begged. So I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it later. By the third and fourth person, one of them said, and I quote, "Even so-and-so is involved." Those are the exact words. In essence, when I said, okay, tell me about this business that you're all disturbing me about, the person's words suggested that the fact that someone they respected was involved or had been a party to bringing them in, that by itself gave it credibility. That was when alarm bells started going off in my head. And some of the people who are involved in this business in particular are elders/leaders. Now, I've spoken to 1 or 2 of you privately. I didn't have time to call every single person between yesterday and today to make it clear that this is not a witch hunt at all. Business could be completely legit and have no problem with you being involved. However, if someone is pointing to your involvement because you are a prominent figure in the house as proof that it's fine for them to get involved, then we're crossing the line of the boundary of everybody. For those of you coming in, please take yourself off mute. We're having a conversation. So it's not a speech. I want to hear the ums and the ahs. It's crossing the line now where I've forgotten the name, but we have a name for this in business, but it literally means that you're lending your credibility to something without your knowledge. In essence, you might not be actively endorsing it, but people see the fact that you are involved with it, or that someone connected with you is involved with it as an endorsement. For instance, when Gehazi went after Naaman and said, can we have some clothes for the prophet with us? Naaman didn't bother going back to find out from Elisha if Elisha was on board. The fact that Gehazi showed up, Elijah said, well, you're his servant, you're his right-hand man. If you're asking for it, it means Elisha must be on board as well. And that's one of the reasons why Elisha was so upset, because he says, hey, you sold God's credibility, because God's credibility is attached to me and my credibility is attached to you. So now we've heard some of the stories in recent times of other ministries. I've seen this happen over the years where if wisdom is not applied in this kind of situation, it can be a powder keg, where a particular business opportunity is seen as the church's official business. I run several businesses, you guys know, right?
Yeah.
Some of which some people in church are involved with. I have never once stood on a pulpit to publicize my business. Never once. And I never will, because I want to make it clear. I run a business as a man. It's different from kingdom culture as a ministry or an organization. What I do in my business is attached to my credibility and my integrity. But I don't want anybody forming an opinion of God, especially a negative one, or of our church. Or you could argue that if the pastor of the church is dodgy, then yes. But I mean, as far as possible, I'm trying to make it clear that this is me. And so you don't see me ever use our official channels. And I also don't go soliciting for business among our people. Everybody who is a part of, everybody who's a subscriber to one of my most recent businesses found out in the flow of life, not because I use an official channel to promote it. And so that's the first thing we need to come to a conclusion on where we stand and how we make sure that we don't fall into that trap. Opportunities for business are great. We want people to do business with each other. The body of Christ should be a hub. Yes, that's good. But when someone says, even so-and-so is a part of it, because I was telling them, have you done your research? Are you sure this is viable? The person's response to, have you done your research, was, well, so-and-so is a part of the business. I'm like, wow. So you are foregoing the need for due diligence because someone you consider as a leader or your leader is a patron or connected to the organization running the business. In essence, you're saying that person's leader in our church, therefore, if they're involved, it must be a good thing. Our church is then, or ministry, our house is then being dragged into it. So that's the first thing that we need to address. I don't want to mention names, but you guys know the stories. Okay, I'll call one name. It's a leaders meeting. There's a church called Spark that most of you must have heard about, who had to change their name recently because the church's official business was trading certain commodities. Everybody, the pastor was involved. He lent his back into it. It was talked about from the pulpit. Certain unsavory individuals in the church of about 3,000 to 4,000, started duping people and scamming them of their money, committing identity fraud, or pressuring young people in their late teens and early 20s to borrow and in some cases steal money, pressuring them to open business accounts and then borrow money from the bank, take overdrafts and loans to fund an activity that these people benefited from, and left these people in debt, let them distressed, left them very, very damaged psychologically. Some of them backslid altogether. It became national news. It was on BBC. And I'd been aware of some of this from the years before. I told some people who were involved, don't do that with God's house. Don't do that with God's ministry. But as far as they were concerned, I was a pastor who didn't understand the kingdom dimension of wealth creation. It's a wreck now. And I've seen that happen before. Other people whose names I wouldn't mention, some of them are still in covenant with me till today. They meant well, but they got involved, or their churches got involved in things like this, multi-level marketing and selling coffee and things of that nature. If there is no clear delineation, people say that's our church's quote unquote official business. Whatever happens there is ascribed to the church. The second part, and I'm going to open this for conversation now, is on hearing that statement, I then felt very burdened about researching the business myself, because I found out about 10 of our people, Levites and leaders and a couple of members, but 10 people who are significant parts of our house. They don't just watch our service on a Sunday online. 10 people who go to Kingdom Culture as their home church. Or was it 8? I can't remember now. I've forgotten that. I didn't write them down. But I did my research, and there's between 8 and 10 people who are either currently signed up to this business or are planning to. In essence, they've given a verbal commitment. They're just trying to get the money together. So I went and I did my research based on what I was told from the people who signed up. I have my concerns. They're not about necessarily motive. They're just about the business structure. Pastor D, are you on the call, please? I'd like your opinion on what I'm about to say. Can you speak up if possible?
I'm on the call, sir.
Okay. So Pastor D is a business consultant. She does this for a living. feel free to patronize her. Again, she's not the official business of our house, but if you want to set up a business, you want to get involved in business, she does that for a living. So Pastor D, please give me your feedback on this statement. My primary concern is that it seems to not, the business doesn't seem to have made up its mind whether it's a cooperative group or it's a multi-level marketing enterprise. It seems to have the best or the worst of both worlds of both. So as much as I understand, there's a couple of you on the call right now who are involved. So please, we will open the floor for you to give your opinion, because this is a inner circle family meeting. We're doing this just to make sure we're all on the same page. Is people come in and they contribute a certain amount of money to a pot. That pot is rotated amongst who gets the money every month or every so often, kind of like a cooperative. So there are cooperatives where it's like a savings thing. We all put money in, like what Minister Elizabeth and Pastor Tunji recommended a few months ago, where we put money together every month. Somebody has a birthday or a wedding, they get some money to take out. So it has that element. The issue then is it's a guarantee. So I join, I put my money in. Between 6 and 8 people, money goes to one individual. And then there's a pyramid scheme where you rise from the outside to the inside. And when you get to the inside, you get the payout for that month or that period of time. You then pay a fixed amount of money per month, a fixed amount. Let me just throw the real figures out there. So you pay $500 to enter. That money goes to a pot which one person gets per week or per month or however often it is. When it's your turn to get your pot, you're getting 500 times 6, I believe it is, or 8. And then you pay out an $80 admin fee to the organization to collect the money, and then you go.
Hi,
Now,
sorry, could you repeat that, please? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I will.
Thank you.
If I wanted to join today, this is, again, for those of you, because at least 1 or 2 people here either signed in or soon to sign in, from what I understand. So please correct me if I'm wrong. To get in, I have to come with a capital amount of $500. That's my paying. In essence, I'm paying that money for all intents and purposes to another individual who is the collector for the moment. Let's call them the collector. So if Pastor D is this week's collector or this month's collector, 6 to 8 of us come in and we send our $500 to her or to a pot that's supposed to be for her to cash out. Of course, she would have cashed in a few weeks or a few months before. Once that money is available for her to cash out, she has to pay out $80 of the money that has been put together for her, and she takes the balance. So let's call it $3,000. So she takes $3,000, she pays out 80, and then she goes. Supposedly, she then gets to go and do whatever she wants with her money. She's not stuck in anymore. And then me, who paid in today, will in a few weeks be the person who's supposed to be cashing out. Now, I watched the video. I heard from a couple of people who are involved. And Pastor D, I want your expert opinion here. It sounds to me like a Ponzi scheme. And when we say Ponzi scheme in business, people usually get upset because it sounds like we're calling them criminals, but not necessarily. There are criminal Ponzi schemes, yes, but the standard definition of a Ponzi scheme, well, let me read it. First of all, the criminal part of it is, it says a form of fraud in which the belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns to the first investors from money invested by later investors. Now, the technical definition simply means the business doesn't generate any profit itself. It's just passing money from a new entrant to an older entrant. In essence, you're not selling the product for profit. You're not investing in financial markets for gains. You're not buying property to rent or for the value of the property to appreciate. Every penny that is paid out is money that comes from someone else. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So the first
Yeah.
law of the universe is matter is neither created nor destroyed. It's just converted. So if £1,000 comes in and part of it goes for an admin fee, it means what's coming out is everybody who put money in minus the admin fees that were charged. In essence, I only get paid in 1 month time if enough people join in the next 3 or 4 weeks. At some point, all Ponzi schemes blow up because you run out of people to join. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it could be a year from now, 2 years from now, and I'm speaking as a qualified accountant in my own right, 5 years from now. But at some point, there will not be enough human beings in the world or in your circle to bring into the business or the circle. Secondly, at any point in time, it could close down, and anybody whose money is in the system who hasn't been able to cash out yet, that's it, you're stuck. There have been a few that have floated in the last few years. One of them was called MMM. Did anybody ever hear about MMM?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I warned everybody who came to be about MMM. Half of them listened, the other half did not. Those who listened said, I'm glad I listened. Those who did not said, I wish I listened. I know a friend in Nigeria, a family friend, who put in 50,000 naira. That's about 200. No, that's about just over 120 pounds. They doubled it to 100 in 3 months, and she put it back, and then she got out 250 after another 3 months, and then she put it back again, and then she got about 500. And then this is how Ponzi schemes usually blow up. She then took that 500 and went and borrowed another 500 from people. She asked me for the money. I told her, I'm not giving you a penny. She took the 500 that she doubled from 50, added to the 500 she'd borrowed from other people, put in 1 million, and that's when the scheme burst. And so not only did she lose her 500, she lost 500,000 naira she owed other people. And she went into almost medical depression. There were people in South Africa and in Zimbabwe who I heard were jumping out of buildings because the people who there were teachers or principals in school or managers in their business who embezzled money from their business, planning to pay it back. Accountants in companies who took money from their employers, planning to pay it back illegally, and then the bubble burst with their money trapped inside. I am not saying this one is anywhere near that. I've looked at their videos. They look like they mean well, right? From my understanding, the people who set it up are believers. They look like they mean well. But I haven't found anything that explains to me how this money is generated to pay out other than collecting money from the people coming in. So my opinion, until somebody provides me with more information, is at some point it will burst. Now, most Ponzi schemes take years to burst, and they gain credibility because the money is being recycled. If I bring Jamie, Jamie's money pays me. Jamie brings Gerard, Gerard's money pays Jamie. Gerard brings Chris, Chris's money pays Gerard. Chris brings Padge, Padge's money pays Chris. But there's only 16 of us in this call right now. At some point, we'll run out of someone to bring. And also, every time the money moves from the payee to from the payer to the payee, if $80 is deducted as an admin fee, it means the overall capital to circulate is getting smaller and smaller. So you need more and more people just to keep the recycling going. Someone said, well, as long as I get in and I get out, I'm fine. If I get in and I get out, if it blows down the line, I don't mind as long as I get my own payment before I go. My response then was, why would I want to be part of something I know is going to cause someone pain further down the line? So my getting in and getting out with money actually adds to the credibility of this enterprise. So even if it's in 5 years that somebody jumps out of a building because they stole money and they've lost their money, do I want to be part of the ramp that leads there? So I told someone I spoke to yesterday, one of us here, I said, if someone can show me that this is not a Ponzi scheme, hey, please sign me up, right? If I can put in $500 and I get out $3,000 in a month, and I only have to pay an $80 admin fee, hey, I want in, right? I like money just as much as everybody else. I don't love it, but I like it. And I have no problem with people generating wealth. There's a prophetic word out this year that it's the year to go to the next level financially for our house. But one, we owe a pastoral care duty to our people, especially if several of them are getting involved, to say, okay, let's look at this with some clear eyes. And then secondly, if people are starting to say, well, so-and-so who's a leader or so-and-so who is a prominent part of our house is in this, therefore I can go into it without doing my homework, then our credibility is probably being unintentionally leveraged. And then we need to make sure that we are aware of what's going on, and we don't have a duty of care to say, nope, please, let's make it very clear we're not involved in this, even if you want to do it. So first of all, I want to get Pastor D's expert opinion from the explanation I've just given. Then I'm going to open up the floor to a couple of people who are part or planning to be part of it to correct anything Pastor D or I have said, in essence, give us more clarity if we don't already have it. And then we'll open up the floor to everybody else to give their opinion. I'm going to stop the deliberations with 7 minutes to go and give you, because I'm going to be taking notes while the rest of you are talking. I'm going to stop the deliberation with exactly 7 minutes to go to 7, and say, based on what we've all said, this is my opinion of what you are saying. And then you guys can vote yes or no on my summary of what our position has been in the meeting. So Pastor D, over to you.
Okay. I think the first thing I'll say is I haven't seen.
Can you be a little louder?
Where's the speakers? Is this better?
Everybody, is it better?
Yes.
I can hear her clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first thing I'll say is that honestly, I was taking notes listening to Pio's explanation, but I honestly I'm not familiar with the scheme. I don't know who's behind it. I don't know anything about it. This is the first I'm hearing of this, so I don't believe I have enough information. If I'm being honest, I don't know the terms and conditions, if you like, because I always read terms. Like, I'm one of those people, you know, when they ask you, "I'll just sign here," even if it's like 10 pages, they will wait. I will read 10 pages. I'll read all the lines, every single line before I sign, right? So I don't know the terms and conditions.
That's how it should be.
So I'm not really, I guess I can't give, I don't feel like I'm qualified just yet. I don't have enough information or clarity to give a full expert opinion, if you like. I'll just give my personal stance on these schemes in a vacuum. For me, I personally, I'm not a fan of cooperative schemes or savings. I don't think so. Some work. I have heard of some that do work, but they're quite small. There may be like 10 people for 10 months, and everybody gets like £1,000, for example, right? So some do work. They're not all illegal. They're not all fraudulent. But I'm personally not a fan, because I don't see where the investment is. Especially if you're paying fees to when it's your turn to then withdraw the money. You're also paying an entry fee that I'm assuming, again, like I said, I don't know the terms, I'm assuming is non-refundable. Where is the investment in this? Just from a business perspective, right? Why am I getting involved and putting my hard-earned money into something when there's no return? And you might say, well, I'll get £3,000 out of it, or $3,000. But if you are bound to the scheme for a certain number of time, and you're putting in $3,000 anyway, and you minus the $80, you minus $500, then actually you haven't gained anything. So that's just my personal perspective on these type of schemes. Like I said, that's completely personal. I don't know the terms. I'm not familiar with the scheme yet. I'll try and go and look it up after, maybe watch the video. But that I don't know. Sorry, that's not very detailed, but that's just where I stand on the schemes in general in a vacuum.
Okay. Before I thank you, Pastor D. Before I pass it on, let me just because first of all, Pastor D said something that I didn't want to say. Is, in my opinion, things of this nature they rarely end well. And I've seen a few in the last 20 years I've been in ministry. They rarely end well. But then, Pastor D, and let me answer one of the questions you posed, which some people may see this as a positive answer to your question. It makes me even more worried. It's not that you give £500 for 6 months, then you get 3,000. It's that you give $500 once,
Okay.
and then you walk away with 3,000.
How is that
Because
feasible?
when it's your turn to be the collector, I'm using the word collector as a shorthand version.
Uh-huh.
So there's 4 levels. I think earth, fire, I've forgotten what they're called, but there are 4 levels. And when you pay your money, when you enter with your $500, you're at the lowest level.
Okay.
Over the next 4 or 5 weeks, you work yourself up by paying nothing else, just by inviting other people. You work yourself up to the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the highest level, you basically get 500 from 6 people. In essence, 6 new entries on the day you are the collector, or the month, or whatever time you're collecting.
Okay.
6 new entrants, their money goes directly to you.
And so does that mean that you have to bring in 6 new entrants when it's your turn, or there has to be 6 new people joining?
I don't know if you have to bring them, but I know there definitely has to be 6 new people joining, because everybody who's joined before you became the collector's money would have gone to someone else.
Ah, I see. Okay. I think that's risky, because there really is no guarantee when it's your turn to collect the money that the new entrants would be there. I also think it puts undue pressure on the existing members to find new people. And I think there's an issue of integrity and ethics there as well. So if, for example, it's your turn or someone's turn and the pot is not full because you don't have enough new members, what happens? So as a believer, you also have to question, can I stake my integrity on this? If I bring someone in and they follow the rules and then it gets to their turn and there's no money for them, it's on me. That's my integrity on the line. Is it ethical? I think those are the questions that I would ask personally if I was approached with a scheme like that.
Those are some of the questions I ask, but then for me, it's even worse. My question goes a step further to say, okay, the answer could be, well, there's so many people in the scheme that the money will come from somewhere, fine. But that's how the financial crash of 2008 happened.
Yeah.
Banks kept borrowing money they didn't have to pay back, saying we'll get the money somewhere. As far as I know, there's nothing being invested. So the money is not being increased by commerce. It's not like we're taking the money to go buy a property and then we're paying you from the interest.
Yeah.
Or we're trading stocks and shares, or we're selling coffee or cosmetics like Avon. Every penny that comes in or that goes out came in from another person's pocket. So in essence, equity is not being generated.
Mm-hmm.
And an admin fee is being removed.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we don't run out of people to join in anytime soon, for every $500 that goes in, or $3,000 that goes in, $80 comes out.
Yeah.
At some point, the money is going to run out. It could be 20 years from now. It's going to run out, except you keep recycling people through. And my experience with these kind of schemes is they never last forever. It could be politics, it could be administrative issues, it could be somebody's embezzling the money, it could be a government legal position. But at some point, when you play musical chairs, the music stops and someone's left without a chair. And even if that person is not me, do I want to sign up for a game that I know in all likelihood is going to leave someone without a chair at some point down the line? So like Pastor D said, the issue of integrity and also the undue pressure of, to get my money, I need new people to join. So I'm going to be, anyway, I've given my opinion. Pastor D, do you want to add to yours before I pass it on?
No, I don't think I have anything to add. I just wanted to ask, where's the admin fee going? Is that also shared and circulated, or is it going to an individual or the company behind the scheme?
my research for now, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who knows about this, is that it goes to the company. In essence, that's the company's compensation for
Yeah.
creating the platform.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so is there anybody, I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but we really would like to hear from anybody who's either a part of it or wants to join it or has done their research about it. Non-judgmentally. Again, like I said, I want to learn. As a pastor, I want to learn so that I know that my people are safe. If you have information to add to this conversation that will put us at ease, or you have negative information, either way, please do bring it.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I thought the Zoom disconnected. Sorry.
When I heard about this scheme, I thought it was like, oh, 500 pounds, $500, then $4,000, get it out in 4 weeks. I thought it was good, but my challenge was just what you were mentioning right now. The fact that this thing is unending. And by the time you're in it, you've put so many people that trust you and you care about inside it. And even if your money is out while it's going through its issues, you have people that trust you or put their money because of you inside, and they're stuck. And if you get addicted to it and you keep rotating it, eventually your money will be stuck when something happens to it. So my major challenge with it when I got to know about it was that I have to bring two people that I have to trust to bring two people who have to trust two people to bring two people that keep having to do that stuff. So it doesn't stop at any place. So that was my challenge about it, and that was while it sounds as if, oh, $4,000 is very quick, 4 weeks, you can use it and do something quick. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna. Yeah, I felt like I don't know what I'm gonna tell somebody that it's to make them give me this kind of money and then put them under pressure to start running around for people, so to speak. I was just like, while I think this looks good, I'm not sure I want to be bringing in two people or be under that kind of pressure to bring in two people. So I've just been looking at the thing. When I got to know about it, I've just been like, you know what, man, I think this is my issue with this program, and because of that, I've just been stalling it.
Okay, thank you, Gerard. Anybody else?
Theo,
Yes, ma'am.
just wondering. Thank you for the information you've given, but I think I personally need a little bit more information. So who is circulating this? What's the name?
Okay, I can give the names. I can give the name of the thing. In fact, I have a video here that was sent to me. That is the official publicity video of this scheme. It's 10 minutes long. If you guys don't mind, I can play it now on Zoom. I am not mentioning anybody's name who's involved unless they volunteer themselves, because this is not about anybody. Does that make sense? So I don't want it to become a who said who is. No, we're all family, right? And like I said, if this checks out to be legit, please come and sign me, right? If you're involved and we make all our checks and we pray and we feel like this is fully legit and above board and right, I'm volunteering my name to be signed up. Who doesn't want to convert $500 to $4,000 in a month? But it's just the red flags require leadership to step in and assess it, especially if the credibility of our house is being unintentionally. I don't believe anybody's intentionally doing so. But like I said, when somebody says, well, it must be cool because so-and-so is involved, that's the point at which our house needs to say, what's going on here? So let me play that video real quick. How much time have we got? We have 22 minutes to go. Cool. So let me play this video real quick.
Pio, can we get the link, please, so people can watch it in their own time?
I want to. I need to come out of this meeting with some sentiment. So I'd rather we watched it here and you got back with the information in your own time. But I don't want to wait for people to watch it over the next 3 or 4 days, because like I said, this is if we're going to take a position, the position needs to be taken pretty quickly. So let me find it. Yes.
It's Natalia here. I wanted to ask the same thing as Paj, in that I not necessarily want to know who is actually involved, but like who is the actual corporation. Just like we can go and Google and find out who are these.
Say that again. Sorry.
Who is this? So I'm not personally asking, who is part of the house that is part of this scheme. My kind of thoughts is,
Johan, watch this video. All the answers on the video. All right. So
okay.
All right, guys. So let me know. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see the screen, real quick. All right. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know if you can hear it when I play it. Hold on.
No, there's no sound.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix that. Hold on. You said there's no sound, right?
Yeah.
No sound.
All right. Hold on. Let me fix that. Can you hear the sound now?
And thank you for considering joining the giving community.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Between us, as this community is rooted in communication and compassion and an opportunity to share with each other. Who are we? The giving community is a group of like-minded individuals who have come together to form a cooperative money sharing program. Our values. The word that best describes these core values is Awana, a word used in Hawaiian culture. Awana means family, and no one gets left behind or forgotten. Our values are also based on biblical principles. As is seen in Acts 4 and 32 through 37, we believe that to effectively support each other, we must be one in heart and mind. And just as those believers shared everything they had so that there were no needy persons among them, we also want to display the same biblical principle. So, our purpose. The goal is simple. It's to help others break the grip of poverty through compassion and community sharing. Our purpose is also about ending systemic poverty, and we know that's a lofty goal. But a program like this one can be effective on a smaller scale through friends and family. It can be successful when it involves everyday individuals like you and me who are willing to share a portion of what we have with the ones we love. So, how did it start? The strength of the program comes from a historical system found in many cultures called a susu. Although we did not create this system, we did adjust its motivation to include a greater emphasis on compassion and community. So what are some of the differences between a traditional susu versus the giving community? First, you only need to provide a one-time gift to join the community versus repeatedly giving each week. Secondly, no one person is responsible for collecting money, nor does any one person hold on to any gift on someone else's behalf. Instead, each individual gives their one-time gift directly to the indicated person that is set to be a gift recipient for that week. So there's no middleman. Third, after you make your gift, you only have to wait 28 days from the time you gave to then receive your gift from 8 different people who have committed as a community to willingly share with you as you have willingly shared with others. Fourth, after you've received your gifts during your designated week, you have an opportunity to consider regifting a portion of your gifts to start an automatic new round of giving and receiving. And generally speaking, the total amount you receive per person per gifting cycle within the giving community typically stays below the annual gift tax limit as indicated by the United States government, essentially making this gift you receive tax-free. However, big disclaimer, this is based on a general understanding of the current guidelines as designed by the IRS. You must consult your accountant, tax attorney, and the IRS directly to fully understand how any gift you receive may impact you. The giving community cannot be held liable or responsible for your individual tax situations, so make sure you check. So a couple of clarifications. Important question. Is this a pyramid scheme or any other scheme for that matter? The plain and simple answer is no. In a pyramid, there's usually a founding member who requires that you find a never-ending amount of people that will keep pushing that one or few individuals to the top, with little to no return for anyone below that person. It also usually involves some type of product or package that must be purchased. This is not the case whatsoever with this group. It's important to know the giving community does ask that you invite 2 trusted family members or friends with you as you enter, but it does not directly influence any one person at the top who takes it all. But instead, it's to make sure everyone has a chance to benefit fully. Finally, as this system relies purely on the good faith of family and friends and built on communication, community, and compassion, it is important that each person is an individual of integrity and honesty. So, how does the giving community work? We use a flower model that's circular in nature. No one person is ever at the top. Everyone has an opportunity to receive as well as give. So again, this is just a visual of the flower system, which I'll explain each week. And it allows you to see how everyone progresses through the flower, from fire to air to earth to water. So as an overview of the giving community, you first start by entering the giving community with giving a one-time gift of $500 directly to the recipient or the water of that week. The giver at the start of their cycle will enter on the outer petals of the flower as a fire. You then move through the flower from the fire position along to the air, then earth, until it's time for you to become the water for that week. After 28 days in the giving community, you then move into the inner circle as the water position, and you will receive 8 different gifts of $500 each, or a total of $4,000. The water recipient for that week then returns back to the start, at which point they may choose to leave the community or regift $500 to start the cycle all over again as a fire. This system is virtually a never-ending cycle, unless an individual decides to no longer participate, but we hope this is a gift that keeps giving. So how does the weekly process work, from fire to air to earth to water? Week 1, fire. You enter the giving community, as mentioned, by gifting $500 to the person in the water position of your designated flower. And as a note, the giving community administrators will inform you of the details of your flower and your position each week upon entering. Also, as mentioned, it's important to invite 2 trusted family members or friends to join you. This allows more individuals to be both fully gifted and to fully receive gifts yourself. As a note, it's important to know that it's possible to enter yourself once again as one of your invitees if for some reason you can't find a second person. Now you're in the air position. It's week 2. As you enter the air position, the 2 invitees you referred to the group will enter into the fire position of your same flower. The invitees that are now entering into the fire position will gift $500 directly, just as you did when you entered, to the person in the water position of that particular week. Again, the group administrators will update that information each week. As a note, if you were invited by someone prior to entering, that person would at this point most likely be in the earth position, and that's going to be explained in the next slide. So week 3, earth position. You are now in the earth position, and the 2 people you invited will now be in the air position. It's now the responsibility of those 2 people to have invited 2 people of their own, who are trusted family or friends, to join your flower. As a note, by the time 28 days have passed, there should be 8 people surrounding you when you arrive to the water position, each gifting you with $500 each, for a total of $4,000, as you did for someone else when you first entered. So now, week 4, you finally arrived to the water position, where you will receive $4,000, or 8 gifts of $500 each, from the fires now surrounding your flower. To remain in the giving community, we ask that you regift $500 of those dollars from the $4,000 that you received back into the water you first gifted when you initially joined. By continuing in the community, you have an opportunity to receive $3,500 every 28 days as a part of being in the giving community cycle. At this point, it's a time to celebrate, and also know that the 2 people you invited in will also receive the same benefit that you came in with. So this is just a visual of the week 4 water position flower expansion. As you can note, it will get to a point that each time a new water is in the middle of the flower, that flower will essentially split into 2 new flowers, allowing more people to be gifted and more flowers to grow. So here's a couple of frequently asked questions. What do I do during the 28-day wait from fire to water? Well, you'll be invited to a virtual community group that you'll be added into once you enter, that you'll have an opportunity to engage with other members in the giving community as a way to encourage each other, share prayer requests, and discuss ways to improve financial literacy. And question number 2, what if I want to join but can't find 2 people to join under me? To keep the community as trustworthy as possible, consider taking an additional space to represent yourself, or even ask the person who invited you in for help. Or you might want to consider waiting an additional week to join, but with enough time for the person who invited you to find someone else. Question 3, once I enter the water position, do I have to invite more people in? At that point, it is not required to invite additional family members or friends. However, as a giving community, we want to keep this as accessible to many. So if you have someone you know that may benefit, feel free to share. If it doesn't help you directly, it'll definitely help someone else. I'm ready. What do I do? Well, first, consider putting aside your initial $500 gift to join. Remember, your sacrifice is only for 28 days, and you will be a part of a big vision for the giving community. Secondly, immediately identify 2 trusted family members or friends with whom you can share this information. We all get it. You might feel a little bit nervous. So why don't you consider sending them this video to help explain the process a little bit better? Third, communicate with the person with whom shared this information with you to confirm your invitation and find out next steps. And finally, the giving community currently exchanges gifts via Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo. So consider setting up your preferred method of giving and receiving now to avoid issues if possible. Finally, welcome, thank you, and congratulations. We're so excited that you're taking this journey with us, and we pray that you are blessed beyond measure as being a part of the giving community. Thank you.
All right, guys, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can take yourself off mute now, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
I-
we're still here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think it sounds really dodgy. I think it's relying too much on goodwill. And as you said previously, if someone decides not to pay during the week, there's no kind of contractual guarantee that they have to stick to what they're doing. But I do, as I was kind of listening, I do feel like that for us as a house, it's signaling that people really need to know how to research things and also how to set up business
Bingo.
and do it fairly. I don't think that
Bingo.
it's something that we should be so terrified of. I think it's just a symptom to a bigger cause. People want to do something for themselves, but they just don't know how. But I do
Sammy?
definitely think that's very dodgy.
Sammy, God is my witness. What you just said, I didn't say earlier because I was going to leave that for a future meeting. That's exactly how I felt. Okay,
Yeah.
we've come to a place in our house where we need to start educating our people about business opportunities seriously, even if this is legit, right? I felt God was saying to me, that's why part of why I called him and said, okay, you need a business evaluation system as a house. And that's why I called you guys together today. But carry on. Anybody else?
Yeah, I
Hi,
think.
Bill. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Padge. Go first, please.
Thanks. I think just reading and seeing it just reminds me of what I would see on a very regular basis with my patients with anxiety from businesses that have just gone wrong, and the amount of physical symptoms and heartache and anxiety is overwhelming. So I was even starting to have some physical symptoms myself just watching the video, as it was like I was playing into real time of some of my patients. So that really affected me watching the video.
Again, that's how I felt, which is why I called this meeting, because the person who told me so-and-so is even involved, that conversation was yesterday. It was an hour after I had that conversation, because I started to feel palpitations myself for whether or not this was cool. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Anybody else?
Yep. Hi, Pio. So I was actually approached about it, and I asked the person to explain it to me 3 times. I didn't get it. And I just said to them that I've got commitments at the moment and I'm not going to be able to join, etc. It just disturbed me. I think for me, it was more so, yes, the pressure on bringing in people, but also people that bring in people who are under pressure to provide these funds. You can never tell where the funds are coming from as well. So just a lot of alarm bells at the back of my head. I didn't actually know that this is the same thing that you're referring to in your message. So yeah.
Okay. It is 6 minutes to go. I said I was going to stop us at 7. I'm going to give 2 more people a chance to speak. We can carry on the conversation in the chat room on WhatsApp. I'm going to give 2 more people a chance to give their perspectives. If there's somebody who is involved, because I know, please do speak. We do want to hear your experience so far. You could be putting our hearts at peace.
Hi, Pio. I'm not one of the people who are part of it. Like Jill, I've been approached, but I just think in my head, when I have to think of bringing people in, that's just added pressure I don't need. So kind of why I've been hesitant to respond back to people in terms of it. But I also wanted to say that if this is something that people in our house are feeling like they're wanting to join, could it also be that there's a need that people have and they necessarily haven't communicated to us, and this is what they're finding as an answer as well? Just thought I would pause that out there.
Valid point. Can I get a man to give their opinion?
Yeah, I'll give my opinion. I was approached about this as well. Funny enough, Gerald already spoke. I was speaking to Gerald about it on Friday, Saturday. I was like, guaranteed it works, but it's short-term gain at the expense of people in the future. So it's a guarantee to be a bubble that bursts. So I think it's one of those things that it destroys. It goes against the fundamentals of the Christian faith, because you get, in the short term, you benefit, you get your money back that you put in, but it's at the expense of someone down the line. And that's not really the Christian way of going about things.
Pio.
Yep.
Hi, sorry, I know you said 2 people, I just wanted to add something quickly. Just to what Chris said, actually. So one of the scriptures that came to my heart was Proverbs 13:11. I'll read the Message version. It just says, easy come, easy go, but steady diligence pays off. And then I'll read the
King James.
The Amplified, or King James.
I know. Carry on.
Wealth gained by vanity will diminish, but he that gathers by labor will increase. I just think, to me, it just sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme. I think it will work short-term, like Chris says, but my biggest alarm bell was that when she said frequently asked questions, she did not address the question of, if the 2 people come in and they don't manage to find 2 other people to agree, what happens to the money? If there are not enough people when it's your turn, what happens? The fact that she didn't address that question, she didn't have any answer, she didn't even raise the question, it just sounds to me like a get-rich-quick scheme. And I think that really, as believers, we shouldn't be looking into those kind of things. I'm not saying don't invest, everybody wants money, right? Okay, we know we need to spend money as currency, but I just think that for me is the fundamental issue, that it just sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme. So yeah, you might get your money from it, but is that even something that we should be doing as a Christ-centered believer? Should we be involving ourselves in get-rich-quick schemes because they work? That's my biggest alarm bell, really.
Okay. Is there anybody else really want to say something? One more space for one more person who really wants to say something.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I'm actually still confused while watching the video. I'm still confused, like it's not really clear. Like there's no clarity to the purpose of the thing. It sounds very well written and stuff like that, very well, put together, but at the root of it, it doesn't really. I know they dropped in arts in there and some few Bible verses to kind of get you feeling, oh yeah, this is Christians doing it, blah, blah, blah. But it just does not feel like, it doesn't feel right. Yeah, you can't really like, if you take it to God and pray, I think the Holy Spirit will just tell you, nah, forget this one. It's not really,
I think it's shady that they're calling it giving as well, because it's making it seem like it's some kind of ministry, but it's actually a business. So that for me felt a bit like
okay.
deceptive.
All right. Let me, because I want to send you guys away on time. This is why I said 60 to 70, because I suspected it might overshoot, but I'm going to try and stop exactly at 7. Actually, 1 second. We're 2 minutes to 6. Can I get 7 minutes from now, which is 5 minutes past 7? Is that okay with everybody? Which is the 7 minutes I asked for initially at the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
If you
That's
need to
fine.
go, that's fine. If you need to run on the dot, we understand. That's fine. But I'm going to stop at exactly 5 past 7 with your permission. First of all, there are people in our house who are involved right now. Some are leaders, some are Levites. My count was at least 8 people either in or planning. In essence, they're holding on to their $500 about to go in. And like Sammy said, it tells me very clearly, number one, we owe our people a duty as a house of God and as a community hub to say, this is how you research business, right? So we need to do some financial business literacy training for our people. Secondly, whether or not this is legit. Secondly, like I think the Munji said, it means our people need money.
Yeah.
Including me, right? Let's make it clear. I could do it some money. That's why I said if I did my research and I thought it was fully legit and great, I would be in like yesterday. 500 to 4,000 in 1 month. Come on, man. 3, Chris said something I said at the start. My issue is not the short term. My issue is what happens down the line. If I get in and I get out with my money, great. But in essence, I have added to the credibility of a system, which, see, I will put my car in this if necessary. 10, 15, 20 years down the line, no matter how long it takes, this is going to pop. And someone's money will be trapped when it does. And finally, like Sammy said at the end, and Pastor D also said as well, Pastor D said there's a lot of questions that were not answered, that were smoothed through. What if I can't find 2 people? Well, what if after doing my best and speaking to the person who brought me, I still can't find 2 people? And finally, I've always had a problem with people who use the Bible as a sales pitch for business.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I've always had a problem with that. It's always ticked me off.
It's a real problem. Jesus.
Is somebody saying something? Is somebody saying something?
My wife was just giving commentary.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Sorry.
Cool. So, I'm a businessman, right? For instance, this is not a sales pitch. Please don't come to me about this, right? But a couple of you here know, one of the businesses I run involves trading money on other people's behalf. Have you ever heard me mention it in church before? Oh, I run a fund. Please come and invest your money.
No.
Never,
No.
because that's my pastor, right? If I say it at the end of a sermon where I talk about how, God has ordained for us to take the nations and the systems of the world, it's incendiary. Now, a couple of people in church have heard about it, found out on the street, and have approached me. A couple of you are here on this meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've told you I won't take your money now. Come and sit down in my school. Learn about what I'm going to be doing with your money. At the point at which you are educated enough, if you still want our fund to trade for you, then let's talk. Because I don't want you thinking that guy preaching on Sunday, he took my money. What happened? I've seen it wreck families, ministries, friendships. Just leave the Bible out of it, right? I'm a car mechanic. I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant. But I just accept it's a Christian thing. And if it's a Christian thing, it shouldn't be a business. It should be a ministry. In essence, a cooperative. Let's bring our money and we give it to everybody. You don't need to bring anybody in. And I'll be more comfortable if it was we put money in every month and then every month someone takes it. Because then we know where the money is coming from. In essence, we're all giving to one person, and then next month everybody gives to the other person again. This one is a funnel, in my opinion. Money comes in, it goes out. At some point, it may dry up. And every time it flows through the circle, there's an admin fee removed. It means every cycle, $80 disappears. Now, my opinion is, and we can vote on this in the group. We've got 2 minutes to go. I'm going to keep to my promise. My opinion is this. I think we owe it to our people to tell them, as a leadership, we have a problem with this scheme. It's your choice. We're not forcing you not to do it or to come out if you're in. But we just want to make it clear that, like the other person said, even so and so is a part of it. Nobody in our leadership is endorsing it. And definitely nobody who is in it is binding our leadership of our house. Right? Then secondly, we may need to ask the people who do decide to stay in or carry on and go in to put a disclaimer if they share with anybody else in church. And the disclaimer is, this is a personal enterprise. KC has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's coming from a leader or someone that person respects.
Mm.
Also, without mentioning any names, I'm not going to call the name of a person. I'm not going to call the name of a business. I'm not even going to give any reference as to the details I gave you today, so nobody can suspect. But like I did years ago in church, I'm going to have to repeat a disclaimer from the pulpit tomorrow to say, this is a season where we're believing God for business expansion, and we're trusting God for people to do business with each other. Go forth. However, nothing carries the blessing of our house explicitly unless it is said from this pulpit.
Yeah.
And then finally, we need to do our own research and figure out how can we empower our people financially, because I think people need empowerment financially. Does anybody disagree with anything I've said? It's 5 past.
No, not
No.
me. Honestly, that thought really popped into my head. Like, if we're dealing with this in this season, that it's evidently clear that the time has come for us to be educated and equipped on how to grow in our financial life.
Okay. Also,
Yeah.
okay, so does anybody have anything to add to what I said? That anything I left out of that summary?
Pio, can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I think in addition to, I think whoever, if we have someone in the house who wants to carry on with the scheme, knowing fully well that this is something that we have said that we don't endorse, I think it's important for them to, make that disclaimer that this is something that we don't endorse as well.
Okay, I'll chew on that. That's actually that's a valid point. Let me chew on that, because I don't want it to look like I'm trying to intentionally destroy people's opportunity. But we can discuss that in the group. That's a very valid point. Also, something I think we also need to do is set up a counseling office in our house where anybody who wants to get involved in any kind of business can bring to this committee to help them scrutinize it. Just a service we offer. It's not compulsory, but just so you know, we have people in our church who are business experts. If you want to get involved in something, feel free to check with them. All right, guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you. Please feel free to carry on the conversation in the group. I just want to keep to the promise I made to send you away on time. But this conversation is not short now. We can carry on talking about it in the group. And if anybody has any more information that could sway this decision one way or the other, please send it either to me personally, or you can put it on the group directly. I did not speak to anybody else here about this in advance of this meeting intentionally. I didn't speak to Pastor D. I didn't even speak to Paj about it, because I didn't want anybody's opinion being swayed by what I said yesterday, or what I said to them, before the meeting. So love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
sir.